So this video is going to be directly about um, some of the most heinous and disgusting things that they're doing to me. And I think it's very important. Um, I have the man here where I'm staying at. I'm in Crested Butte, Colorado. My date of birth is January 6, 1984. And my phone number is 214-299-2305. And my every phone call, everything I'm doing is being tracked down, monitored, and rewired. Phone calls, I'm having the crisis line continuously taunting me and threatening me, as they know that I'm being beaten with electronic devices while I'm speaking to them, and they're harassing me over the phone using the volume controls to sound really disturbing and screechy as a metaphor of weapon against me. As they're doing this, um, they're doing this on purpose and shooting electronic devices at me, numbers of electronic devices. But I wanted to make sure about what everyone understands about what's going on. Okay, I don't know how they're tracking me down. I don't know. I've been pleading for my life for a very long time, and it's only been now been getting worse. Everything that I'm saying on the phone is being recorded and transmitted over to certain locations. Like I was speaking with, there's a manager by the name of Christian Nobel, and I have said several things about whenever my brother was being raped and how Ken Cooper knew about it and Sarah Cooper knew about it. And Ken Cooper knew about it and came over in a police uniform. And this guy, literally, when I spoke to him on the phone a couple of days ago, he goes to the phone and he waits for me to ask him a question where he has to say the word yes. And he makes a mockery of it whenever I said that Ken Cooper goes, yeah! And he was talking about Miguel raping my brother Frankie when he was 6 years old. And he was, the screams and the blood of what I saw and experienced was horrific. So I wanted to say something that this is what this person is doing in the defense of the sexual molestation of my brother Frankie when he was a kid and when I was molested by this person, giving oral sex, not even knowing what if I was doing because it happened so fast, and my mother and father being abused. Now I want to make sure because the owner of this place, Elevation Hotel, the person's name is the manager of this whole employee housing where I'm staying at is called. His name is Jordan Walker. Now I have to call several different departments. There's not one single heterosexual female they're allowing to work in any of these environments that I'm going to. I don't know how or why they're doing this. There's no heterosexual females whatsoever that they're doing this. And it's the gay community that this is only coming from. There is no one else at all. This is only coming from them. So I wanted to make sure what these people are doing to me because it is so far. I'm going to the grocery store and there's 4 or 5 people showing up all over the place doing all sorts of crazy things as they're walking by butcher knives and making very subtle fasting expressions toward the movement. I mean, it's fucking crazy that I'm going to a grocery store and there's the entire store stalking me and following me and looking at me and know about this rape that occurred. And this is a tormenting shit that had happened as a kid that I am not bringing this up. It is the people that are recording this and are just doing this to make me as a living nightmare as they could possibly can because they're beating me with these electronic devices. Now, I want to make this video very clear to stick on the subject of really what I'm making this video about. And you have to understand that now at this point, I have to, I guess, make another video. They are not allowing me to talk to my mother. My mother has over $100,000 sitting in her bank account, and I was the one head child of everything that was going on in this home. In every phone call and everything that I'm doing, they have now gone after my mother. My mother has a first-grade education. She's an ex-prostitute when she was a little girl, and she was being sold for sex very frequently. Even my father had to tell my mother to stop prostituting. And it was not because my mother's a prostitute, because of drugs or nothing. It was because she has no education and no other means to live. And we needed extra money to feed us as kids. So I wanted to make sure that this is being very clear. My mother has gone through an enormous amount of abuse and is in a mental situation that she can't take care of herself. She has to have, and now all these homosexuals and transgenders are doing this over the phone, are threatening me. Every phone crisis phone line, I mean, nearly, and I'm not kidding you, they know about what's going on. These people are showing up at the grocery stores and taunting my mother, threatening me about my mother's money nonstop. And that is all they're doing. I am not being allowed to call my mother. My mother is calling me repeatedly. I don't want to pick up the phone because Ken Cooper and Sarah Cooper's representatives and homosexuals are just doing threatening me. That is all that they're doing. I'm very terrified for my life, and it's a very sad, very pathetic way that I'm existing my life in. But I want to say this, crucially important, I am not being allowed to talk to my mother and in fear of talking to my mother. My mother is calling me, and I know my mother's being trained and harassed by the homosexuals and the transgenders that are going after my mother. And they're cornering her. And they're doing this just like they're doing to me, because my mother can barely knows how to read a book. She doesn't know how to. You don't understand how easy it is for these parasites to show up and take advantage of her and get her to do whatever they want. And they're just patting her on the head and training her like a dog, like they're doing to me. I am not going to be participating in this type of behavior, and I would love to be able to talk to my mother, but the police officers and these homosexuals are threatening me so often that they know what they're doing and how they're doing it, and I can't pick up the camera because there's thousands of people that are showing up at the bus stops, showing up at the bus trains, showing up on the bus drivers, the train conductors, you name it. It's everyone. They're blasting me, sending emails, exactly where my location is. Every single person that they can come in contact with, they're sending to come after me. This is not a joke. I've already had cancer before, and I don't want to be in a circumstance one day where I'm in a hospital where I'm going to have, in order to keep things the way that they have told me, my mother's going to have to not be there, watch me, or be a part of any of my terminal diagnosis when it's time for me to leave this world. But I do everything to take care of myself. I try to eat as healthy as I can. You don't understand that the stresses and everything that they're doing and how they beat me with these electronic devices on such a frequent basis. And every single day I get shot at least 15, no, not even 50, I would say 25, an average of about 20 to 25 times in a single day. I get shot with an electronic device somewhere in my body. Whether it's standing in a hallway, maybe looking at my phone or looking at a painting, they'll immediately shoot me in my body and my face. And they're using magnets is what I was told. So when I'm on the phone talking to my mother, they're also shooting me with electronic devices. They're shooting my testicles, where my testicle will begin to hurt. And then they'll get people to come at me at a restaurant as the waiter. They'll tell the waiters to harass me and look for a fight. And I'm not kidding you. I'll ask them a question about the menu, and they'll intentionally hit the food with their hands or get very close to me, and I have to say something, and then they'll want to look for a fight. I'm not kidding you. There are dozens to 10 to 15 people that are showing up inside a restaurant when I get there looking for me to see how they can harass me. I'm not kidding you. The minute they get in, they're looking for me like, Larry, this, show you how gay community. It is all the gay community that is doing this. Nothing else. It's a persecution of hate to bash me, spit at me. I've talked about this other incident that someone spit at my face a few weeks ago. And they're just doing this and shooting electronic devices to allow this abuse to happen, including they're using feces as a weapon on me. And I want to make another video on that. But I want to make sure that everyone understands my mother is being cornered. My mother is mentally ill, and I cannot function with my mother or an associate at what is happening. And like I said, I don't know who's controlling my mother, who's spending the money to hire impersonating psychologists to sabotage my immediate family. But that money that my mother has is all inherited because of my father. This is over $100,000 sitting in a bank account. And much of this money, all of this money came from my dad's money in real estate. My dad had $125,000 equity in a house immediately when he died. And I'm not even his biological kid that I didn't find out until later. And there was 3 of us that lived in that house. My mother was married to him and my father was gay. And I want to make sure, because my father was gay, but he had had sex with my mother a few times. So I want to make sure, and I tell you this of what was going on, because my mother's desperation of sickness is to go be bisexual because she has to survive. That's the desperation of mental illness that I'm talking about. It's very frightening because it's Ken Cooper and Christian Novell and these people that are calling over the phone and taunting. It's non-stop. And they're showing up at the grocery stores. They will not allow me to live a normal life. It is nothing but persecution to sell me for sex to the next black person that they want, or just to make my life miserable. No one is kind to me. No one is nice to me. Nothing is polite. Nothing is genuine. I just go throughout my day. None of that is ever, because they're sending messages and text messages and on message boards and dispatching me through GPS, letting everybody know I'm the public enemy number one, just as they created a murder attempt that was placed on me several years ago that I talk about, I've said several times. So I wanted to say this, that this is crucially important, because every time I've talked about the murder attempt that was placed on me, they get somebody that looked like exactly like the people that did the murder attempt on me, and they place them around my environment, and they let them know we did a murder on him. We did a hit. So this is very serious. This is to antagonize. I was covered in blood, and they used a butcher knife on me. So the police is antagonizing this and laughing. I already talked about this in downtown Dallas, and it was doing this. And he was sending someone that looked like my little brother to come threaten me. So he's doing this at a Ken Cooper's representation to say that Ken Cooper is now controlling Julian to come after me for a violent attack. Now I want to say this because this all relates and goes toward my mother. I'm not here. I have done all the stretches of life I can to try to repair or communicate with my brothers. Julian is a long lost identical twin, and there's no luck. Whoever's contaminated his brain and this is only going to be a war between me and my mother and how they want to take control because they're homosexuals. Even though that I had relationships that were healthy when we were younger, the gays are going after and dissembling anything and make sure that they go the way that they want. So the best way that I can love my mother is not to ever communicate with her in most cases ever again in my life. I'm going to let them have what they want. I can't do anything because the police won't do anything to help me. They're beating me with electronic devices like they're shooting me in my head. They're beating me and threatening me non-stop. This is all they're doing, nothing more but hate. It is to make my life as miserable and tweak my brain as much as they can why they shoot electronic devices at me. I was told by a random person at a bus stop numbers of years ago that they're using magnets. It's some sort of like magnets that, you know how you put magnets together and you can cause, they don't touch each other, but there's an iron discharge. They're using some sort of magnet weapon that they're shooting at me, and it's shooting me in my brain, it's shooting me in my body, it's shooting me and doing various different types of things to my limbs, and you don't understand how serious this is. But I want to make sure I understand that this video looks like I'm really crazy. I am not crazy. I'm not making this up. Please believe me when I say this. These people will be the faithful end of my life one day. And they want to be able to buy it out, and they want to be able to torture me as much as they can and make it as miserable as they can while I was alive, before I finally go to hospice. I am not kidding about this. I have been pleading and wanting a normal life for a very long time, and it is not going to be allowed. So I don't know who's arranging this. I have not picked up the phone for maybe at least, maybe 2 months now that I have not talked to my mother, maybe 3 months. But like I said, I'm also giving her a break. You don't understand that my mother's calling me frequently. I am being threatened. I made this video, Chelsea, that works at a Holiday Inn Express, was threatening me, and I couldn't even pick up my check, and was directly threatening me and my mother. I'm not joking. Please tell any authorities, private investigations, if you can do this, law enforcers that may be able to question and come and ask me questions, please go to start a private investigation if you can, please.